Hi everyone. I hope you are well. I see we have Shantae here again. Hello. You have a nice name. Um, Luke, you are very welcome. Hello to you. Pums, welcome back. It's nice to see you guys back. Tendor, hi. How are you? Kev, it's nice to see you again. I have an answer for you regarding your question on where you guys can get the slides. So a very welcome to everyone. I hope you are all ready for a productive accounting session. So you'll see my slides are very basic. It will be the same every day. We have to use these slides just to welcome and introduce you, and then we will go over to the actual work. Okay, so for those of you who are new and for those of you who is going to watch this YouTube video, I'm just going to quickly introduce myself for the first time. If it's the first time you meet me, I am Shantae. I am a grade 12 accounting teacher. I have a passion for accounting. I also went and studied BCom accounting and did my articles. So you guys are in good hands, okay? Um, I absolutely love this subject and I'm trying to give you as much of an insight as I possibly can and make you understand. So today we will just do inventory. We will look at the perpetual and the periodic inventory system, and then we will start with ethics. So I needed to add ethics here. I'm sorry for that. We will start with ethics. I have a interesting ethics question for you guys. My learners at school, we are continuing with virtual learning, so they did enjoy the ethic question I had for them. So I can't wait to hear what you guys are going to say, so that we can discuss it and talk about it. Okay, just some admin. If you want any information, please go to www.africateengeeks.co.za and then also follow us on social media. So if you have any friends that you think might also benefit from these sessions, please don't hesitate to give them the link as well. On Zoom, we'll meet here every day, except for Friday, because that's our rest day. It's a public holiday. I know all of you have lost some track. I know I have. I can't even remember what day of lockdown this is. So it's day 30 something. So yeah, so if you think anyone can benefit, then join me every day at 5, so we can conquer accounting together. Now, Kev, this is where I answer your question. So I will be emailing it through to the admin department of African Teen Geeks, and then they will upload all my resources, so all my notes, okay? And this is where I come in as well. So how I teach my children is, in matric, you guys are overwhelmed. You have so much subjects, you have so much work. The teachers just pile on these questions and say, this is a good question, do this question for every subject. And they're doing that just for the basic facts to prepare you to be a well-rounded student when you go and write the exam, right? The matric year end exam of their subject. So it's only to benefit you, but you are only one human. So I do not want you to spend time doing endless notes and endless summaries, okay, about accounting. Accounting is supposed to be to the point. You have to have a certain amount of theory, you quickly revise, and then you start doing as much questions as possible. Okay, so that's what I am here to do. Okay, so let me get started. Just want to open up for you. Okay, there we go. So today we are quickly going to Okay, and before I continue, I love my classes to be interactive. So if you have any questions, if you just want to chat to me, um, please feel free to use the chat box. Let's keep it relevant to accounting, but I would love to hear what your take is on it. We're going to do ethics today, so I really hope you use the chat box to chat to me. You guys are the pace setters for my class to say, ma'am, you are moving too fast, ma'am, you are moving too slow. I understand this. What I did, I gave the grade 10s in maths an opportunity. I also helped them out a bit. I gave them, because I'm actually an accounting teacher, I only teach accounting for grade 12, 11, 10, and EMS. But I gave them an opportunity here at the STEM lockdown school to say, listen, what do you guys struggle with? And then to actually help them with those topics. So what I am doing at the moment, I am following the lesson plan set out by the government. So, as teachers, we have a lesson plan, a term plan to say by the end of this term, you will need to be able to do fixed assets. So, in term two, you will have to be able to do fixed assets. You will have to be able to do inventory, and you will have to be able to do recons as well as VAT. I know some of the schools also do closed corporations. I'm not going to do closed corporations with you guys because obviously it's still type of business that does exist, but you can no longer start a closed corporation. Okay, so yes, there is still a lot of closed corporations out there, but I'm going to focus on these. Okay, so this is how I'm going to conduct my classes. Now, we've already spoken about the valuation of inventory, and we spoke about the first in and first out method. Now, it's very important to know what am I referring to in an inventory question, okay? So if I ask you, those of you who haven't seen that class, please go onto YouTube and just have a look at my classes. I did a really nice summary. I also gave you something similar to this. I will, however, send it through so they can upload it. So these are really good notes. Basically, these notes are very basic. So these notes are to quickly revise, to quickly get the basic concepts down so that you can do as much questions as possible. So we looked at, and I introduced to you the first in, first out method, and I also introduced to you the weighted average method. Today we will be talking about the perpetual and the periodic inventory system. Now, a lot of students get confused. They're like, okay, ma'am, great, but how in the world am I going to know when to do what? Okay, here is the key. The key is to simply know when they are asking you to get a value for the closing stock. We will then be doing first in, first out, or weighted average. Okay, so when they ask you to value the closing stock, okay, then you do either the first in, first out method, it depends on the method they use, or the weighted average method. Okay, when we talk about the perpetual and the periodic inventory system, we're talking about the system. So which system are they applying to record all of their stock? Okay, where the other one would rather, the valuation would rather be at the closing stock, what is my value? Okay, what value do I recognize as my closing stock? Okay, so let's get started. It says, remember that there are two systems generally in use. Now, these are perfect notes for you guys to study from. If you want to now, you can take some pictures. I will provide it for them to upload, or you can just go onto our YouTube channel and screenshot it from there. Okay, so I hope everyone can see. Can everyone see? Let me just zoom if you can't. Let's just get an indication. Okay. Sonia, it's nice to meet you. Vicky, hello, how are you? Asim Hartley is, am I saying it correctly? Asim Hartley, am I saying it correctly? Welcome to you as well. We can see that's fantastic. Great, thank you so much. So we now looking at the two systems, the periodic system and the perpetual system. You will need to know both of these systems as they can appear in a question on stock valuation. Okay, so the perpetual system is the system you have been using since grade 10. So can you see that I will not be testing you on the perpetual system if I have a limited amount of marks that I need to test you on? Can you see that if you have done the perpetual system since grade 10 and I'm now introducing you to the periodic system, then I will most probably ask this. Okay, so I'm not saying, because you're not going to write my test, however, but I am trying to make sure that you are equipped the best you can be. Okay, so they say, um, let's just quickly finish up on the perpetual system. It says where you record the cost of the sales after every sale. So that's what we do. We recognize cost, we recognize sales, we credit sales, we debit debtors or bank, depending on is it sold for cash or credit. Now we go on to say, okay, now I have to also do my cost of sales and my trading stock. So that's what we've been doing. Now the periodic system works out the cost of sales at the end of every period. Okay, that's why it's called periodic. So if you can't remember which one is which, just think the period. Okay, so the year end period or the financial year is a period, right? 12 months, that's a period. So that's where you only work it out at the end of the year. Okay, these are things I'm not sure if you will get it, where a teacher will actually physically ask you a theory question to say, please indicate the differences. However, this is important for me as a teacher to make sure that you understand the difference. Okay, I don't want you to be a parrot and then just to write the differences down. I want you to understand the difference so that you can apply the difference. Okay, let's quickly look at the first one. It says, perpetual, and then I'm going to go to periodic, then I'm going to make sure that you see the difference. So the cost of sales is recorded at the time of every sale. Okay, that's what we said. Where the cost of sales calculated in the periodic system at the end of the period. We don't record cost of sales when we sell stock. So everything you've been doing, no. Okay, don't do that. Um, we only do it at the end um, of the period. With a perpetual system, okay, I'm not going to repeat that. You're just going to follow with me, jumping in between the two. Purchases of trading stock are debited to the trading account, where purchases of trading stock are debited to the purchases account. Okay, so here you can see I now work with a purchases account. I do not work with trading stock. So that is another difference. Okay, now return of trading stock is recorded on the credit side of trading stock, where returns of trading stock is recorded on the credit side of purchases. So exactly like I would do my trading stock account, I will now be doing the purchases account on the same basis, but just calling it purchases account with my periodic system. Now, donations of trading stock are recorded on the credit side of trading stock. Why? Because I'm decreasing my trading stock when I donate stock. You will hear me a lot talking about increasing and decreasing. I like to, yes, you can say credit, but I like to make sense of it, okay, so that it makes sense why you would do that. Okay, so I'm going to decrease my trading stock. Now, the same, if I did it with trading stock, I have to now record it in my purchases account. So the purchases account just basically replaces the trading stock account. Drawings will be recorded decreasing my trading stock account. Now here, drawings of the trading stock is also recorded in my purchase account. For this, we can see that the purchase account replaces, oh, here it says purchases account. just said, it just replaces the trading stock account. Okay, so that's basically all that it is when we come to trading stock specifically. Carriage on purchase is recorded in the trading stock account, and here it's also recorded in the purchases account. Okay, if we have deficits, they are recorded as an expense in the income statement. Um, and then here is no trading stock deficits when we do physical stock take. This is our total closing stock. Okay, so can you see that we won't have a physical deficit because we're not keeping track of what we are selling, what we are buying. The closing stock is just our total. Um, I want you to then have a trigger in your mind already on, ma'am, this might be a problem, this might be a disadvantage. So let's look at some advantages. These are things you will get, not name advantages of the perpetual system. You won't get a question like that. What you will get, however, would be what is the benefits of a company applying the perpetual system? Then you can list the advantages. What is the benefits of a company applying the periodic system? Okay, then you can name all of these. You can name all of these. Um, okay, I'm not going to read it to you. You can read it yourself. Okay, periodic system, it's much cheaper. Okay, maybe I should quickly run through it. You know exactly how much stock is on hand. Can you see that here there's no stock deficit? Where here I can immediately see, someone is stealing some stock. Why is the stock getting lost? Or I bought a certain amount of raw materials and suddenly I have less than what my calculations say a certain amount of raw material um, should produce a certain amount of physical stock. And I can see now here I can see specifically, okay, where in the process am I losing stock? Where am I losing raw materials? Okay, stock losses are easier detected. We said that like I explained. Okay, here it is more accurate and realistic. Okay, it holds up the matching principle. Okay, what's the matching principle? Let me quickly discuss that. The matching principle says that all the transactions that are applicable within this year, this period, this financial year is recorded within this financial year. That is also why we record a income um, received in advance, occurred expense, occurred income. Okay, because I need to show that I received this income in advance. It's not part of my income right now. And then next year I'll just make sure that it's recorded there. Okay, then I eliminate that received in advance. Okay, so that's how we're going to that's why it says that. Okay, the matching principle. Another thing here is if you know the advantages, it's very easy then to take these advantages and then make them disadvantages in the periodic system. Okay, I just want to note that because you guys can see if I know advantages of one, I can easily then write the disadvantages because I can easily also ask you, okay, they are now performing it on this system. But what benefits would it be? Why would it be more beneficial for them to maybe do it on the periodic system? Then I want you to list some disadvantages. Okay, so then you just take the opposite, if that makes sense. So just try and think, don't in a test like we discussed yesterday, especially in accounting now, it's becoming more explain, apply, analyze, interpret. Don't just go, I don't know what to write. I've never seen this. Ma'am didn't tell me to study this, or sir didn't tell me to study this. I want to see you applying your knowledge. Okay. Advantages of a periodic system. Obviously, it's much cheaper because I don't need to pay for a system. I know they call, I think it's Sage, it's some Sage platform. I can't think of the word, but you have a package that you buy from Sage. It's almost like Pastel, but when you enter it, it automatically reflects your inventory. It's actually very cool. So the moment you record a sale, it automatically makes decreases or increases your bank, your inventory. So you can automatically draw a stock report to say, okay, these things, these stock has increased or decreased, or they also notify you. It's actually cool. They notify you to say, listen, yeah, you need to now at this level have to reorder because you are running out of any of stock. So you get systems like that. So obviously if you have a periodic system, you don't have to get that whole software and buy it from Pastel and pay a yearly fee and everything, because you just do a normal stock take at the end of the year. Okay. Um, Another company who would most probably implement this is a company who has not a lot of stock. So maybe like a service company. Do you understand? Where with this, if I am macro or game, I kind of have to have a perpetual system. I can't really have a periodic system. That's not going to work at all. So just take the business into account, okay? Take the type of business into account. Apply that to your answer. Okay, it is very important to learn this formula of the cost of sales for the periodic system. Okay, so we do cost opening stock. We take our purchases, we minus our credit allowances on donations in our drawings. Okay, so we're taking out all of those things that I obviously the credit allowances. So and then everything I also took out of purchases. Then you just take your custom duty, you take your, so all the expenses that you incurred for the stock, and you minus the closing stock. Okay. You will see that you always subtract closing stock to get your final answer. The system is used in the production cost statement where we always subtract closing stock. Why? Because these are usually the raw materials, the work in progress, or the finished goods. To get out 3 answers in this note and on the face of the production cost statement. Go over this section again and you will see how the formula is used. Okay, so remember this, but it's very easy. You just take your opening stock, your purchases, so what you bought, and all the expenses. I always say for the use of the stock. So take into consideration all the expenses you incurred, okay, all the expenses you incurred um, to physically have the stock to sell, if that makes sense. So obviously you need the stock to be at your warehouse, so you need to take that into account. Custom duties, if you import it, then you have to also take that into account. Okay, now here we have our trading stock account. Here we have the difference. So this is another thing you can quickly take a photo of, take a screenshot of, or just get the notes. So it's just something you need to take note of. I'm just going to pause there for a second. Okay, and that's my final accounts. These are just the differences, guys. These are just the differences. So when you do get a question with the periodic, you can see the difference on how it works with the perpetual system and how it looks on the periodic system. So some of you like to learn it off by heart. That's perfectly fine. Okay, so that's what you guys should take note of. Okay, then we are going to move over to ethics. Now, I am not sure who of you, I'm not sure who of you will answer me this question, but I would really, really like you to participate. Okay. Okay, so is there any questions on inventory? Is there something you want to do? Yes, you are more than welcome to record it. That's perfectly fine. But it is available on YouTube. But you can record it. Is there any questions on inventory? Do you feel comfortable with inventory? Do you want me to do a question? Just give me an indication that we can see you guys are all fine with inventory. And also give me an indication if you are fine with fixed assets, because we are now done with that, but I'm more than happy to redo it. Anyone? Great. Okay, so I have one. Jadida, hi, how are you? I haven't greeted you yet. Um, then Luke says, you are more than welcome to get it online. So let's see by Monday. Luke, let's see by Monday if they've uploaded everything, then I'm not going to email it to you. But if they haven't uploaded it to you, you can all put your email addresses here. I'll take a photo and I'll send it to everyone. Okay, so don't worry. Okay, sure, good. Okay, now I want your input here, everyone. I can see your name, so I'm going to make sure you answer me. You are this person. So let's talk ethics. Okay. Yes, ethics has a place in accounting. Okay. And especially in our current situation in our profession as CAs, we are struggling with ethics. I don't know if you know this, but if you actually are busy with your articles, they really want you to do ethics. So you guys, we need to do ethic courses. You need to do actually a lot of our auditing. When we wrote auditing a few years back, they are now focusing more on ethics than actual internal audit procedures, because it has become such a big thing. And I feel like you cannot really test ethics. You can't really test if I am ethical or not in a paper. Okay, yes, you can by seeing, okay, am I cheating or no? Am I telling you, listen here, I have a problem, or something, but you can't really test it. But now they want us to test it because it's such a big part of our profession, and it has been putting our profession in a bad light. Just think of the Kpmg scandal, the Steinhoff scandal. He was a CA. He was a top achiever, actually. Hewlett, Deloitte. There's a lot of issues coming out now. I know EY now has a scandal in the UIE. So can you see that it's all in our profession? So I want your input, please. You are this person. You are this person, and you need to pull the trigger. You have 2 seconds to decide, and please work with me. You have 2 seconds to decide. Will you pull the lever and let the train kill the one person, or will you let or will you just not pull the lever and let this trolley kill these 5 people? What would you do and why? Quickly give me a reason. Vicky, what about you? Hanali, pool. Okay, so Vicky says she will kill the one person, right? Tendo, also. Sonia, what would you do? Pooms, let me hear from you. What would you do? Shantae, Asim Harle, Shadida would pull the trigger. Okay. Who needs to still answer? Okay, pool. So it seems as if everyone, Luke says kill the 5 people. In most cases, the person that is right is the only one whereas the others are scared to speak up. Great, great method of thought. So how I perceive it is everyone is choosing the one person. Okay, everyone's saying kill the one person, then the five people. Okay, so because everyone says like more lives matter than one, right? You'll rather sacrifice one life than five lives. What if I told you the one person you just killed was a child, and the other five children, other five people lying on that track were elderly? What would you have done? Would you have still pulled the trigger? Would you have killed the child and then let the five elderly live? What would you do? Would you still pull the trigger and kill the child? Vicky, Tendo, Sonia? Yeah, see, now Vicky says no, she won't. Pooms, what would you do? Asim no, no. Yes, so can you see? Now everyone's like, no, 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 no. Now the child's going to live. What if the one person was the president of a country, any country, it doesn't matter, lying there. And the other five, one was a junkie, the other one person was a homeless person, the other three were just, the one obviously was a dad, and the other one was a student. What would you have done? Would you kill the president, or would you kill the other people, the other ones? Vicky says depends who he is. Okay, I like how you guys are thinking now. Depends who the president is. Kill the president. I won't kill our president. Eh? He's doing a fantastic job on handling this really impossible situation. Shame, but hats off to him. Anyway, so you guys now say kill the president. So can you see your perspective and your okay, bye Vicky. Can you guys see that your perspective changes depending on the situation? So at first you were like, just kill the one person. And now suddenly you know the situation. So you know the situation, it's a child. You know it's the situation, it's the president. And then every time your answer is different. And what I want you to see with ethics is everything says it depends. Vicky now left, but she said it so well. She's eating now, it seems. But it's so like that was what I was wanting you to see, is that it depends. And that's what it comes down to with ethics. It depends. Okay. So if we look at ethics, this is just an introduction. I'm not going to go through that with you. Ethics is all about, am I doing the right thing? But people perceive things to be right. So what I perceive to be right and what you perceive to be right on certain topics may agree, but on other topics it might not agree, because it depends. It depends on the situation. When people are desperate, they do desperate things. It depends. Okay, so ethics here we can see is that we must act in a manner. Ethics is all about how we must act and what our behavior pattern must be. It also has to do with how and why we must act morally, honestly, and correctly. Now, guys, if you get a question, write down the following: morally, honestly, correctly. These are mark words. These are trigger words. These are words that I'm going to read and I'm going to check for. Are they referring to acting morally, having honesty, acting correctly? Okay, another great word to use: act with integrity. Ethics has everything to do about integrity, doing what is right, not what is easy. Okay, here it says commit to doing what is right, the ability to differentiate between what is right and what is wrong. So I was put in a situation where I had to count petty cash. When you are first year audit clerk, you just do the horrible sections when you audit. So you usually start off with expenses and cash and stuff. So I had to count petty cash, and then sometimes the clients have small petty cash, other clients had big petty cash. So I worked for a client, and they had a lot, but I'm talking about like hundreds of thousands, like eight. I think their petty cash was around 500,000 rand. Okay, and I had to count that. So am I breaking confidentiality? No, because I'm not mentioning anything, but I am just giving you the scenario. So what's supposed to happen, how you audit petty cash is you are supposed to, as an audit clerk, count the cash, and then the person next to you who actually physically does it on a daily basis or monthly basis or weekly basis, it depends on their system, has to sit next to you and count it, and then you agree on it, and then you say, okay, this is the amount of petty cash, and you show it in your books. What happened here is the person who did it never actually physically did a stock take of a petty cash. So she didn't balance a petty cash at the end of the year when I counted it. So I was the only one who counted the petty cash. Now, obviously, if you are counting 500,000 rand, you're kind of there half of the day just counting notes, making sure, double checking you are fine. Um, but no one watched me, and no one looked over my shoulder. She wasn't there. I could easily have put 1,000 rand in my pocket, and no one would know. Not even she would know. Okay, so therefore I did the right thing, just to do my business as I would conduct it if someone were there. So that's why ethics is so important. We as auditors and as accountants are put in positions that you have to do what is right and not easy. Okay. Then the purpose of a behavior policy, just know what a behavior policy is, and the purpose of it is to support you and identify business ethical situations in a workplace. So what would be perceived for management as unethical, and what would be perceived as unethical. Okay, when you are confronted with ethical problems, you must follow the following 3 steps. Okay, so I think that's where we're going to stop today. We will then continue with important principles. But let me quickly discuss this with you. So you will not get a question like, name the 3 steps to solve a ethical problem. Like, you won't get that. What you will get, however, is to say, okay, so you are the let's say you are a director of the board, and you are now faced with this ethical dilemma. So now here you are around a big table, and we as directors will be discussing this ethical problem. How are you going to solve this? So that's my question to you. This is the scenario. How are you going to solve it? Then you will tell me, first, I am going to analyze the situation. I will be asking questions like, how did the situation arise? What must be decided? Who can take this decision? What would be the implications of the decision? Then I'm going to say also what the decision is. So then name the specific decision, make it applicable to your scenario. Okay. Um, who must be consulted? What alternative ethical or rational decision can be made? Okay, for each problem. Okay, so this is the situation. So you're first going to say, I'm going to sit with the board and we are going to analyze the situation. To analyze the situation, these are the questions that I'm going to ask them and ask myself about the situation to actually get a full understanding of what this ethical problem is. Okay, the facts and assumptions must be carefully evaluated. Should any of the choices require that an ethical principle shall be the victim? Is there any leeway or a compromise that will not violate the organization's standards of integrity? Finally, would other employees agree with your ethical verdict? Now, what's important with an ethical decision, and you can mention this in a question, is would a person from the outside also rationalize your decision? Would they also interpret it as the correct decision? Would they see it as the right thing to do? Okay, objectively, a person looking in, would they also see it as the right thing to do? Think about the possible outcomes. So your next step, then after I've analyzed it and I've asked these questions, I will think of possible outcomes. We would sit in a board meeting and we would discuss what are we going to discuss. Then you're going to list this. Which outcome would be best? Which one would be more ethical? Who could be hurt and who could be helped? To what degree can a person be affected or hurt? How can they be helped? Okay, all of these things you're going to put into your answer. And then you're also going to ask the following questions. Would I be content to tell my family what I have done? Would you be happy? Would you be happy to go home now after we've done and you say goodbye and we left this meeting? Would you be happy to tell your mom or your dad or your brother or your sister, your friend? Would you be able to tell them, you know what, I just killed a little child and I saved 5 elderly people? Would you be able to do that? So can you live with yourself? Can someone, your little brother, your little sister, I'm not sure of your situation, but can they look up to you? Yes or no? Would I be regarded as responsible if I have been on the other side? Again, am I making the best choice? Would my peers approve? Okay. Would this decision look good within a year, 5 years, 10 years? I'm pretty sure when the whole Gupta scandal came out and the partner that, I don't know if you guys know this, but what the Kpmg scandal was is and that's why they actually, I'm not sure if they're part of the big four anymore, but they did suffer a lot, a big loss. Um, is the one partner is supposed to be objective, and he actually went to one of the weddings that Gupta's host, and that's not obviously performing your duties as objective because you are influenced by them. And this was a relationship, a personal relationship instead of a professional one, and then they got into a lot of trouble. So obviously that wasn't him attending the wedding wasn't a good choice for him within 5 years. Looking back 5 years ago, it wasn't a good decision. Okay, 2 minutes left. Now we will continue with our basic principles tomorrow. We will discuss that, and then we'll move on to internal auditing, the internal audit function as well. Okay, so that is what we will be doing then. Um, I do, however, want you to think about the COVID-19 situation while we're discussing ethics. I think that's a big probability of someone working a question in about ethics. Did the president make a good choice on letting the economy suffer, so letting our financial situation suffer, and saving the lives of millions? Can you see we are sitting with an ethical dilemma? Are we putting money before people, or are we putting people in front of money? Okay, so that's a ethical dilemma. That's something you should actually be able to discuss and think about, because due to this $500 billion relief package that he's kindly offering to us, I'm pretty sure is not funds we have. Yes, we have a relief fund or emergency relief fund, but I'm pretty sure it's not 500 billion. We're going to have to borrow most of that. We are on our junk status when we talk about our Moodley downgrade. We had a Moodley downgrade. That means, and that's going to mean that when we do borrow this amount of money, we are going to have to. It's going to cost us more to pay it back due to our junk status. So just think about all of these things. You might get a good question about that. And then we'll meet yet again. It was lovely to see you. Thank you, Luke. It was a pleasure to have you here and to discuss ethics. I hope you had fun. And then we'll see you tomorrow for the rest of our ethics session as well as our internal control.